I wondered, had I really oversold the Hubble? I have to admit that since I have been convinced that I didn't.
The Interplanetary Podcast. The exploration of space for the benefit of all mankind. Your hosts here in London, Matthew Russell and Jamie Franklin.
Nancy Roman, it's her birthday today because it's May the 16th today as we record this.
Would have been.
It's the first birthday without her, in fact, because she died this Christmas, the Christmas just gone, at 93.
Well, it turns out, Matt and Harriet, she was a bit of a legend.
Before we talk about Nancy, let's talk about another legend that's joined us. Harriet. Harriet Brettle.
Our long lost
Hello,
friend.
It's great to talk to you again.
Yeah, long time. So, Harriet, you're going to join us for the entire episode.
I am. I'm thrilled to be here and talk about space. It's my favourite thing to do.
Excellent.
So it's been ages since we had you on. Can you give us a really condensed just sentence about what you've been up to?
Oh God, I feel like every time I join your podcast, something big changes in my life. So I'm going to keep these things scheduled to keep things interesting. So what am I doing now? So I work as a business analyst for a company called Astroscale. So we are looking to address the challenge of space debris. So as soon as I talk to you, I have moved back from California, got my master's in planetary science, and now I am living in sunny Oxfordshire.
Beautiful.
And I'm glad to say, Harriet, your English accent has returned.
It's come back.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
We were a bit worried.
Not many California quirks left.
Yeah, just ask me to talk about Jupiter.
Saturn.
Jupiter.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
brilliant. Well, it's great to have you back, and we're going to go into some space facts later on. But let's start with that quote, Nancy Grace Roman.
Harriet, how do you like Nancy? Because I'm reading through the notes here, and she's pretty phenomenal, right?
It's incredible. So, I had to confess, I hadn't really heard of Nancy Roman before you mentioned that she was going to be the kind of profile of the day. And it's incredible. She was literally the mother of Hubble and had such a key role in developing and making the Hubble Space Telescope happen. So just imagine the amount of science that we have to thank for her.
I do like the fact that she's called the mother of Hubble, and Hubble's often called the father of cosmology. So it's a bit confusing. So that kind of makes her the grandmother of cosmology, although she's not really Edwin Hubble's mother. That would be silly.
That kind of makes sense.
So she's the mother of the Hubble Space Telescope. We should kind of make that obvious because she worked at NASA. But look, I'm gonna go through her journey to get to be the mother of Hubble, and it's quite an amazing one. So her dad was a scientist, and her mother actually was the one that took her out for evening strolls to look up at the stars. And she got so into the stars that she formed an astronomy club at the age of 11.
That's amazing. Imagine that. What are you doing tomorrow night? You want to come over to my astronomy club? I love that.
And of course, we talk that this is, of course, in the 30s and 40s. So it's a long time ago. She was born in 1925. So this is in the 30s, early 40s. And she says her first encouragement, and that's in inverted commas, was the physics department chairman in the school said to her, "I usually try to talk women out of majoring in physics, but I think maybe you might make it."
What a compliment.
Yeah,
So,
that's kind of very of the time, shall we say?
yeah, but she went to Swarthmore College 1946, so she's still quite young. So she accelerated into that and got her Bachelor of Arts in Astronomy. And then amazingly, at the age of 24, got a PhD from the University of Chicago in 1949. I mean, remember last week we said that Cambridge was only giving women degrees in 1948. So that's a major achievement.
Yeah, it's not bad going, is it?
She's got a little bit of fortune. So she has this lucky star that she calls a lucky star, because I've been reading some of the things that she's written. She wrote some brilliant blog posts before she died. She's really an amazing person. But she wrote about A.G. Draconis and how she was just observing this random star, AG Draconis, taking some measurements, emission spectrum measurements, and they'd completely changed from the last time that they were measured. So she wrote a few pages of notes, and then I guess that she kind of forgot about it a little bit. And then during her time at Chicago, she realized that she wasn't going to get tenure as an astronomy researcher in the department. So she changed her specialization and went to the Naval Research Laboratory and became the head of microwave spectroscopy, which must have been a pretty new science at the time. But she was then one of only 3 Americans invited to this Soviet observatory opening in Armenia, because the boss of this observatory had read her notes on AG Draconis and was completely beguiled by it, I guess. So when she came back, all the NRL leaders had asked her whether she could give these series of lectures about her visit to this astronomy place, and she became a kind of minor celebrity in these astronomy circles, particularly at the NRL. So NASA had formed 2 years earlier, and they'd kind of co-opted all the scientists from the NRL. And of course, they knew her and went to her and said, "Oh, do you know anyone who wants to set up a program in space astronomy?" And so she took that as a kind of, they mean me. And so she couldn't resist, even though she wanted to be a research astronomer, she just couldn't resist being able to influence astronomy for the next few decades. And so she left. And that's where she developed over 20 satellites that eventually led to her really sort of being the mother of the Hubble Space Telescope, as we said earlier on.
God, that's so amazing.
Yeah, and she was involved in Apollo, Mercury, and all those sort of things, lots of rockets and instrumentation on those missions. And this is what she says at the end of it. She says, "I am glad I ignored the many people who told me that I could not be an astronomer. I have had a wonderful career in a field that I love."
There we go, have that.
That's a great statement.
What's the amazing thing is this AG Draconis, her lucky star, it's only in the unusual state that she measured it every 100 days, and that only happens every 10 to 15 years. So it's this thing called a symbiotic star, which is a giant star and a white dwarf. It's a binary system. Very, very odd behavior. That only happens very, very rarely in a large time period. So she really was lucky that she happened to be the person looking at it. But of course, she's the person that recognised that it was interesting.
Wow. AG Draconis also sounds like a Harry Potter spell, doesn't it?
It really does.
Oh, dear. Wow, that is incredible.
There was a guy called Edward J. Weiler who worked on the Hubble telescope with her, and he says, NASA called her the mother of the Hubble telescope, often forgotten by our younger generation of astronomers who make their careers by using Hubble Space Telescope. Regretfully, history has forgotten a lot in today's internet age, but it was Nancy in the old days before the internet and before Google and email and all that stuff who really helped to sell Hubble Space Telescope, organise the astronomers who eventually convinced Congress to fund it.
Let's definitely get a picture up on the blog, I think.
We should put the little Nancy Lego figure. Have you seen the Women of NASA Lego sets?
No.
They were released a couple of years ago. They're now collector's items. If you kept them in the box, they're worth quite a bit of money. But Nancy was one of those little Lego figures.
That's awesome. We need that.
And I'm currently drinking out of my Matt and Jamie as Lego figures mug.
What else are you going to drink out of?
It's the ultimate mug.
Harriet, we'll have to send you one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't come on these podcasts for nothing, guys.
I can hear the envy in your voice.
That's funny because I was just writing out a check for 20,000, but if a couple do it, then that's fine. That's made me really happy.
Yeah.
My heart palpitation's gone away.
This is it. Matt is back on track.
In 1962, she was in Life magazine as one of the 100 most important young people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's good that we're remembering her now.
So if you're talking about Hubble telescope, symbiotic star systems, high velocity stars, spectroscopic parallaxes, or Ursa Major moving group, then as you say, Jamie, doff your cap to Nancy.
Doff the cap. I mean, and who doesn't? Let's be honest. Who goes a day without speaking about, spectroscopic parallaxes, Matt? I mean, really?
I bet, Harriet probably doesn't.
I'd quite like to know what it is. Can you give me a brief synopsis?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Come on, Harriet. You've got the certificate from Caltech.
Yeah. I'm quickly going to the Google. Parallaxes are. I don't know what a spectroscopic parallax is, though. So parallax is just, a method for measuring distances. I don't know what the spectroscopic side of it actually means.
Makes two of us. I'm glad we're in the same boat.
Maybe that can be an exercise for the listener.
There we go. Answers on a postcard.
I don't feel so dumb now. That's good.
Yeah, we can't know everything.
We can't know everything. Can't know everything. Although Jamie tries, don't you?
Oh, here we go. There's a lot of space out there, Matt.
There is a lot of space out there, and there's a lot of stuff out there to know. Oh, knowledge is so specialised these days. The eagle-eared, is that right? The eagle-eared? Or is it just eagle-eyed? What's the ear equivalent of eagle-eyed?
Yeah, good question.
Let's say owl-eared.
Okay.
The owl-eared out of you will go, oh, hang on a second. We normally have like a person born on the day the podcast comes out. But do you know what? 17th of May, nothing happened in space. It's the least eventful day in space. I cannot find anything that happened on the 17th of May.
You know what? I've got a great one for you. It's not in the past, but maybe it's making history, because this 17th of May 2019, this will be the launch of the first round of the Starlink, SpaceX.
Yes.
Yes, 17th. Yeah, that is absolutely true. It's a busy week, isn't it?
Yeah, so you have to celebrate that next year.
Yeah.
Yes. No, absolutely. It is an interesting thing about Starlink. It's going up on a Falcon 9 rocket that's been flown twice before. So it'll be its third flight. And it's flown from the Cape before, and it's flown from Vandenberg before. How about that?
That is awesome.
So this is, the Starlink, that's the first phase of the deployment. So it's going to be, 60 going up on this first launch. But that means there's going to be 24 Falcon 9 launches, because this first phase of Starlink needs to loft 1,584 satellites into this 550-kilometre orbit. Is that about 1.5 times higher than the space station? About-ish?
Yeah, the space station's about 350 to 400 kilometres, I think. So it's above the space station, yeah.
Above the space station. It's inclined at 53 degrees, which is slightly less than the inclination of the space station, I think. So there's going to be 24 launches like this, just for this first 550-kilometre shell. Then there's another shell of these satellites that's going to, get this, compose of 7,518 satellites. And that's going to be at a much lower orbit at 340 kilometres. That's really low. And then another set of 2,841 at 1,200 kilometres. Can you? So in total, it's going to be 12,000 satellites or thereabouts in this mega constellation.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
It really is. And if you think about the fact that there's only about 2,000 operational satellites in orbit right now, that's an order of magnitude increase in the number of satellites that we're going to see, which is incredible.
And that's just from one company taking a punt that there might be a market for this global internet. And of course, there's lots of competitors that are entering the market. OneWeb, even Jeff Bezos as well, who we will undoubtedly be talking about a little bit later on with what was his one called? Project Kuiper.
Yes,
I believe so.
That's one to watch. Someone somewhere, I would think, is going to get their fingers burnt. It's a little bit like the race for small satellite launchers, where everyone's trying to build them. And of course, they're going to be oversubscribed, and you're going to have a few winners and quite a few losers.
Very true. I think someone's going to make some serious cash as well. What do you reckon?
Well, wouldn't it be awful if at some point someone developed a technology for very fast global internet that didn't require satellites?
Oh, yeah.
Like doing it from the ground.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Jamie's going to do it. So there we go. So
after we finish recording, I'm going to get my pen and paper out and I'm going to draw up my first rough plans.
I think when you look into it, Jamie, it's going to be a bit more technologically challenging than you first thought.
No, I've been lulling you into a false sense of security by playing this role of someone who doesn't know that much about space and technology.
No, okay.
And then I'm going to build the first ground-based global internet. That'll show them. Yeah.
Right. The only other space day around the 17th of May is, of course, Helen Sharman's first flight into space, the first person from the United Kingdom to go into space on the 18th of May, my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, Richard.
One of our favourite guests ever, Helen Sharman, the great Helen Sharman. We need to get her back on as well, don't we?
Absolutely.
Harriet, did you know that she also helped develop Mars ice cream?
What?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Wow. A woman of many talents.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
before she went into space. Turned Mars bars into ice cream.
Wow. And it's even space themed as well. There's a
Yeah, I know. Weird.
Exactly.
It's weird.
It would have been definitely worse if it was a Snickers, wouldn't it? Wouldn't have worked.
No, it would have been just awful. Although it may have been called Marathon back then.
Nah, but see, that's not true. Something I read about this, that's actually not true, that it was called Marathon. I think that it was just some like legal name thing that had to happen, but it didn't Snickers never used to be called Marathon.
What?
I'm going to look that up because I read it a couple of days ago.
I distinctly remember for my entire childhood, Snickers were called Marathon bars.
Snickers.
Anyway, let's not get into this
you
argument.
might have digressed.
You guys carry on. I'll Google this.
So, Harriet, did you hear about Artemis?
I did. Yeah. I mean, my gosh, there's so much that's happened in the last couple of weeks in the space world, right? It's
Well, yeah, this is just the last week. I mean, this is just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, this is why Jamie and I keep wanting to make a 20-minute podcast, and it ends up being an hour long every time because all these people out there doing space stuff. It's so irritating.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, we've got Artemis. We had, what was the Blue Moon announcement? Was that this?
Yep. That was in the last 7 days, yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, lots of moon-related news. It's exciting.
Yeah, so it's full on for the moon, isn't it? So so Artemis is the name that Jim Bridenstine has revealed for this moon soon, getting to the moon for 2024. And of course, there's some historical reasons why Artemis would be chosen. Artemis is the sister of Apollo.
That is nice.
And Apollo has got nothing to do with the moon, whereas Artemis is the goddess of the moon. Yeah.
Oh.
Hey.
Hence, Artemis has been used a lot for moon stuff. For example, Andy Weir's last book, Artemis. Did you read that, Harriet, by the way?
Oh, you know what? I got it from my dad for Christmas, and I stole it off him once he finished it, but I haven't got round to reading it yet.
Oh, I won't spoil it then.
Okay.
I was just about to go into what I thought of it, but I won't spoil it for you. But I personally, I don't think it was as good as The Martian, but it had some moments. It was quite good. It was quite fun. I mean, Artemis is a name of a current NASA program anyway, as well as some satellites that are orbiting the moon called Artemis. It's another backronym.
Oh, yes.
I can't remember what the backronym is.
Oh.
But it's a pretty cheeky one.
There's probably aerial remote testing in emerging moon in situ.
Yeah,
nice.
Something. Yeah, that's a very good guess. It is definitely something like that. I think it's got something to do with the plasma around the moon. And the electrical interference and stuff. So I wonder what. I can't remember what it is. Well, it's something for the listeners to do.
We're giving them a lot of homework this time.
That's a lot of homework.
So, Jamie, how much have NASA asked for to get to the moon sooner?
I believe it's 1.6 billion, isn't it?
Yep, 1.6 billion. Even though the figure of 8 billion was being bandied around last month, so it doesn't sound like it's enough.
I was going to say, even though it's a lot of money for this, it seems a bit shy, doesn't it?
And in reading Eric Berger's report on this, 3 sources have said that 1.6 billion is going to come from the Pell Grant Reserve, which helps low-income students pay for college. which isn't good, is it?
No, that's really not good.
So, Harriet, have you been following this Moon Soon 2024, the whole thing?
Yeah, I've been following, but not that closely. It seems very ambitious, but then you get companies like Blue Origin coming out of the blue, pardon the pun, saying, "Oh, by the way, we've just happened to have been working on a lunar lander for the last 3 years. Here it is." So maybe these things can work.
Yeah, I'm deeply dubious about the whole thing. I think it could be. I mean, it's. I'm trying not to get swept up by the excitement of it, because if it's gonna happen, like 2024 would be absolutely incredible. But I can't help feeling it's a bit like when you've got a really bad boss and he hasn't really been paying attention to the company, and then he joins a board meeting one afternoon and essentially chucks one of those kind of grenades into the into the meeting, where it's like, we're going to do this, and everyone's going, oh no, we were kind of happy with the 2028 version of this, and now this is we're going to have to change so many plans now, that all the stuff that we were just getting on top of, and it's actually going to screw us up, because we're not going to make 2024, and as a result, it's actually going to put 2028 even in jeopardy.
It's really not good, is it?
Yeah, I don't think it's a good thing. I mean, I suppose if there's extra funding coming in, as long as that funding's not, coming from somewhere else that's probably more important.
Well, that's the thing about this Pell Grant Reserve. That's deeply worrying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it seems pretty nasty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can't,
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's so that it kind of breaks down into this 1.6 billion. They say that it's not going to come from other NASA programs, that there will be a kind of bell curve of funding that's required. So it's going to escalate. So it will go up to 8 billion 1 year extra. So who knows? But so it's a lot of money, and only 132 million of which is going to go to the exploration technology, this ISRU, in situ resource utilization. So yeah, Lunar Gateway is going to get sort of reduced to save a bit of money and to make it kind of more moon orientated. And Gerstenmaier said that he would learn the lessons learnt from commercial cargo, commercial crew, etc., to inform the future commercial partnerships for this particular endeavour, of which the most important is CLIPS, CLPS, not to be confused with Crumpsall Lane Primary School.
Definitely not.
Which is a different CLIPS altogether. It's the commercial lunar payload service program, fixed price contracts for creating these rovers and science exploration landers for NASA, which I'm assuming this blue moon would fall into that category. So maybe Jeff Bezos is now going to be applying to get that funding, that commercial lunar payload service program funding. What do you reckon?
You know what? In the past, I've made these predictions about what's going to happen in space, and then they can be terribly right and terribly wrong. So I'm kind of like, when you're watching like a crime thriller or something. I've got to the point now where I'm like, I'm not even going to try and guess who it is. I'm just going to watch and enjoy the experience of going through it.
Do you know what? It's quite funny. As we've been doing this podcast, I know exactly what you mean. The story, particularly if you think like a year and a half ago, we were talking about NASA's NASA going to Mars. That was the journey to Mars, was all NASA was talking about. And then suddenly now it's switched to the moon, and now it's switched to Moon 2024. And this is all in the backdrop of everything being massively delayed. You've got to admit, it's pretty worrying, isn't it, that it looks like we're not even going to get Americans being able to fly people up into low Earth orbit this year, which is now like 3 or 4 years late. So the thought of getting people on the moon by 2024 just seems insanely ambitious.
Yeah,
You know
it does.
though? I remember one time I came on your show before and we did this grand, like, what do we think the big things are going to happen in like the next 10 years or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I might have been particularly bold about us going back to the moon. I'm going to have to go back and listen to that and see like what we predicted before. But maybe I called this.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I think this could be true, you know.
If I can find it, I might edit that in.
Oh, well, only edit it in if it's right.
No, I'm going to edit it in if it's wrong. You can't have it both ways.
Harriet, you really want this Interplanetary podcast mug, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
I think you think you're going to have to get it if you predicted this right.
There's a kind of timeline for all this. SLS 2020, that uncrewed Orion spacecraft. 2022, an manned Orion spacecraft. 2023, some landings on the moon by some of these people like Jeff Bezos, perhaps. And then 2024, Exploration Mission 3, which will deliver crew to the moon. And to include the first women to walk on the lunar surface, hence Artemis. If that timeline pans out, we're all going to be happy.
Totally happy.
Wow.
Matt, do you think... Oh, should we have a bet now? I'm going to bet you a pint of beer that they are going to get boots on the moon by 2024.
Harriet, how much are you willing to bet?
We have people back on the moon by 2024.
A human boot on the moon by 2024.
American boot.
Yeah, what if the Chinese win?
I was going to say China. Yeah, no, easy.
No, China aren't. It's just ridiculous. They haven't. They've never done it, and they haven't got a vehicle. I think China's 2030s. But well, you can add that to the bet if you want. I think I'm going to get drunk here.
Matt, what do you say?
I say I'm willing to bet that the first American boot on the moon will not be before 2028, and I'll buy either of you a pint.
Well,
I'll buy you both a pint if I'm wrong.
I will bet in the middle, and I will say I bet that the next American boots on the ground of the moon will be between 2024 and 2028.
It's not bad. That's not bad.
Okay, I like it.
All bases covered now.
I will have a nice IPA, please, from both of you.
So, Harriet, tell us a little bit about space junk.
Oh, happy to. Great pivot there.
Yeah, thanks.
So maybe this is related to I guess it's not really a new job anymore. I've been doing this since January, but I've been working for, as I mentioned, a company called Astroscale. So we're a startup based out of Japan primarily. Our headquarters are in Japan. I am working in our UK office, and we've recently opened up an office in the US as well, in Denver. But essentially what we are trying to do is ensure space sustainability. And the reason for that is we've got all these satellite companies that are launching satellites into space. They do incredible things, as you know. They provide us with internet, with communications. They enable us to use GPS, Google Maps, probably Skype that we're using now. You know, all these things that we use on a day-to-day basis that rely on satellites. But the challenge that we have is that once satellites break or fail in orbit, they are typically left there. And so there's a kind of increasing challenge or problem of space debris, space junk orbiting our Earth in a way that is kind of increasingly unsustainable. Increasing number of satellites going up into space. We're trying to develop a plan to bring back those failed satellites safely to ensure that people can continue to use satellites, continue to use space in the way that they do now for decades to come.
That is awesome. We love that.
Yeah, so it's been really interesting. I've learned a huge amount about space debris and being sustainable in space. And so there's a lot of challenges to overcome, but it's a really interesting problem to be trying to solve, and I'm enjoying it a lot so far.
What are the challenges that face you over the next kind of year or so?
Oh, great question. I mean, so the big this stuff is hard, right? Space is inherently hard, and we're trying to build technology that no one has ever built before. So we're looking at building chaser spacecraft that are able to go up into space, attach to failed satellites, and then deorbit them safely. And we've actually got our first in-orbit demonstration taking place next year. It's called ELSA-D, which of course is an acronym. It stands for End of Life Services by Astroscale Demonstration. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, it's good.
So we're going to be launching this the second half of next year, I think. And the idea is to demonstrate that we can safely attach or dock to a failed satellite. We're going to be launching kind of a dummy test failed satellite up with our own chaser, our ELSA, and show that we can attach, we can detach again. We'll try a number of different docking situations. So one where we have communication with this failed dummy satellite, then one where we don't, and we don't know where it is. We have to go and find it. And then we're going to introduce some tumbling into this scenario as well. So each time we try and dock, we make it a little bit more difficult. And then at the end of the demonstration, we'll deorbit both of those satellites safely. And the first time we'll be able to demonstrate that we have the technology and the capability to bring down failed satellites.
God, that's insane.
I'm assuming that you're really familiar with removed debris satellites.
Yes, absolutely. So what University of Surrey has been doing is absolutely fantastic. So they've been testing out a number of different kind of techniques to bring down debris. So they had a successful net demonstration last year, and I think it was earlier this year they did their demonstration of the harpoon technique. Right. Yep. So what we're doing is slightly different. One is that we're looking to build this for commercial services in the future. So to be able to, go to satellite companies and bring down their failed satellites, and for that, instead of using a harpoon or a net, we're actually using magnetic plates. So the idea is that when before a satellite is launched, a small magnetic plate is attached to the satellite before it goes up. And then we have, the counter magnetic plate on our own chaser spacecraft. And that makes it much easier for us to dock with the failed satellite and bring it down safely. So we're using a slightly different technique, but, the aim of what we're doing is similar, I guess.
So it really sounds like the British are actually leading the way in this, getting rid of orbital debris.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in the UK, which is very exciting. So as I mentioned, our company Astroscale is headquartered in Japan, and the ELSA demonstration that we're launching next year is being manufactured out of Japan. But the licensing for that mission is actually being done from the UK. We're building a national centre here at Harwell to do the ground station segment of that mission. So all of the mission operations will be done from the UK. So there's lots of stuff happening here. You've got the tech demos that University of Surrey have been doing, which is fantastic. So there's a lot going on here, which is really exciting.
Yeah, it really is a really important problem, isn't it? That a nut that needs cracking.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those challenges that we have is this is a problem that I think everyone can recognize that it is an issue, and it's going to become an increasingly big issue in the future. But, unfortunately, people don't really want to address it until you get that giant catastrophic collision that makes people take action. So, you see this in other areas where you have this so-called tragedy of the commons, like the environment or the oceans. People will leave plastic waste in the oceans until, all of the fish have died, or we'll pollute the atmosphere until it gets so bad that we have no choice to do anything about it. And so what we're really trying to do is be proactive and create that technology that allows us to do something about the problem of space debris before it becomes that big catastrophic issue.
Yeah, it was quite encouraging, wasn't it, with the Elon Musk's Starlink, that they actually applied for a lower orbit as well. And I'm assuming that was to assist the fact that they become less of a problem because they're that low shell, presumably they would naturally deorbit anyway because they've still got atmospheric drag. Do you think that was the thinking behind that?
Yeah, it may well have been. And so when we think about low Earth orbit, which is what we're kind of primarily focused on right now, you're talking about anywhere from, maybe 350 if you've got propulsion on your satellites, all the way up to, say, 1,400 kilometers. That's kind of like the active range of low Earth orbit. And depending on how far up you are is a kind of contributing factor of how long it takes for your failed satellite to come back down and burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. So obviously, the Earth's atmosphere is much thicker the lower you go. And so a kind of international guideline that we have in the space industry right now is that satellites should deorbit or have a plan to deorbit safely within 25 years of their failure. And if you have no active plan, that puts you roughly at a limit of about 500 to 550 kilometers. So that means that if your spacecraft is below that, typically the drag of the atmosphere at that altitude means that you are likely to deorbit within that 25-year time frame.
SpaceX mentioned that they were going to undoubtedly have problems with this first batch of satellites. And so I guess it kind of makes it reasonably safe is that they will lose contact and lose propulsion on some of them. And therefore, being at that 550 means that they won't be a significant long-term problem. Is that right? Is my thinking on that right?
So I think that is most likely the argument that SpaceX are advocating, and I think that it's good that we have satellite operators aware of the issue of space debris and are looking for ways to mitigate that risk. Astroscale is kind of here to provide a kind of backstop to those services, because obviously a lot of these satellites are going to have propulsion, which means that if they're still operational, they'll be able to deorbit themselves. There may well be like a small percentage of failed satellites at the tail end of that distribution, whereby they fail in a way that they can't be brought down by anything other than a third party coming in. And that's where we can provide that backstop to ensure that we don't have failed satellites left up there.
No matter how much planning you put in, there's always the scenario where, it's gone wrong in a way that we can't do anything about it. In steps Astroscale and you drag the thing down.
That's the plan.
It sounds like a pretty important plan, because I was in Darmstadt and they've got a debris control unit in ESA there. And the chap there was sort of saying that one of the orbits there is a Kessler event already happening. So that's pretty.
Oh wow! I mean, we haven't even talked about like Kessler syndrome, which obviously is one of the key scenarios that we're trying to avoid, whereby you get this domino effect, effectively, right, where you've got enough debris in space such that if two pieces collide, that creates even more debris, and then that kind of keeps going and going until you've got a situation where there are so many small pieces up there that you can't move around them, and that orbit becomes inoperational. One of the challenges that we have is large pieces of debris. We can kind of know where they are. US STRATCOM, for example, does a kind of monitoring of large pieces of debris and will alert satellite operators as to if they're getting too close to a piece of debris. So if there's like a potential collision coming up, but they can't track anything that's smaller than 10 centimeters, really. And that poses a big challenge because, a piece of metal that is 5 centimeters wide or long can still cause a huge amount of damage to the satellite, given the speeds that all of these things are orbiting around the Earth at. So there's another kind of key angle here is the space surveillance, and actually how well can you track the debris in space, and if you don't know, then there's still that kind of threat of the smaller pieces of debris that we can't do anything about at this stage.
Yeah, and space debris. I mean, it's such a varied a debris field as well. You've got, like Jamie was saying the other day, you've got things like dead monkeys and dead dogs as part of that debris field. It's quite.
Don't get me started. I'll well up again.
Yeah, rocket casings. It just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? The stuff that's actually flying around. But like you said, it just takes a fleck of paint to smash a satellite to bits. So
yes, so it's one of those things that it's definitely a risk, and it's a risk that is only going to get bigger over time, because the more satellites we put up into space, the more debris that we'd expect there to be. And the challenge is, the technology we're working on right now is to bring down failed satellites. But as far as I'm aware, there is no tech development in place to try and actually capture, these small fragments, because one, we don't know where they are because we can't track them. And two, it's much harder to grab a tiny fragment of metal or a fleck of paint than it is to bring down a whole satellite. So if we wait too long and wait for that debris field to break down into smaller and smaller pieces, we might be leaving ourselves with a problem that we can't fix.
Yeah, I mean, I just always find it incredible that you have this tracking going on for these tiny bits of metal, etc., in orbit, and that they have to keep occasionally move the space station to actually avoid just these tiny bits of debris, and even the what's it called, the copula. What's the bit of the space station with the windows?
Oh, let's just call it the bit with the windows.
The bit with the windows. That if there's a kind of a debris field that's within a certain area, they have to shut those as well. So have to basically shut the shutters on the windows because, a fleck of paint could go straight through.
So I was at the Space Generation Fusion Forum in Colorado Springs last month, which is a young professional event organized by the Space Generation Advisory Council. And we had a talk by Sandy Magnus, who was a NASA astronaut who spent 134 days on the ISS from 2008 to 2009. And she shared an experience she had was when she was on the ISS, they got an emergency call from Mission Control, alerting them to a so-called red conjunction event, which is essentially, a high risk of a debris collision event. So all the astronauts on the ISS had to evacuate to the Soyuz spacecraft to wait it out to make sure that there wasn't actually a collision, so that they would be able to escape if necessary. But, you can't imagine that must have been a terrifying experience, just, waiting in your spacecraft, hoping that you don't get hit.
God, so terrifying.
That's straight out of Gravity, isn't it? That?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's kind of funny. We're almost working in the realms of science fiction, right? You've got Gravity, you've got WALL-E as well, trying to prevent this future where, the Earth is completely surrounded by waste. But I don't want this to be like a scare tactic. The idea is that we can be proactive about doing something now, and that's exactly what we're trying to do, is solve this problem before it gets too big for us to be able to do anything about it.
Here. I think it's amazing work.
I will say one thing that's related to that whole junk thing. Did you know that this week there was an American explorer who's got the record for the deepest ever dive, Victor Vescovo, and he went 7 miles into the Mariana Trench. It's only the third time that humans have gone that deep. In other words, we've gone to the moon far more often. And he spent 4 hours down at the deepest. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? 7 miles deep. But guess what he found, along with sea creatures, etc.? He found a plastic bag and some sweet wrappers.
What?
It's amazing, isn't it? The human influence is quite dramatic. Let's quickly do Blue Moon and let everyone go. So, Harriet, did you watch Jeff Bezos's speech about Blue Moon?
I did, and I loved. Yeah, it was fascinating. It was really interesting to see, this very well thought through vision of, a long-term future, and how, Blue Origin is looking at solving some of these key gateways, I think that he called them, to to make sure that we get that future that we need.
His kind of main push, wasn't it, is that when he started Amazon, all the infrastructure for him was in place. He didn't have to invent the internet. He didn't have to invent the postal service, etc. And he wants this generation to be the people that put the infrastructure in place to build O'Neill cylinders. I thought that was like, whoa, he's going there, because it's so sci-fi, isn't it? The O'Neill cylinder.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and I think it's interesting to kind of see his philosophy, which is very much that, you know, the Earth is the place that we need to protect. And what we need to do is kind of outsource the heavy industry so that we can maintain what is, you know, without a doubt, the best place for us all to live. So, you know, it's a very interesting kind of philosophy, and you can see how it drives everything that they do.
Yeah, I mean, he basically put that into, he just said there's basically two big problems. One's cheap access to space that he's working on. And this being able to utilize resources out in the solar system rather than on Earth, that there are two kind of barriers for progress, which I thought was interesting. I mean, he's kind of said that before in lots of different interviews, but this was definitely his ideas condensed into a more coherent speech. I confess, I found his kind of style a little bit boring. It was a bit like watching blue paint dry at times. It was like, oh, come on. But I mean, I loved it. I loved the vision for it. It just, there was something old fashioned about it. Did you not feel a kind of, it was slightly old fashioned?
It kind of seemed like a TED talk to me.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. But I think I'm finding TED Talks old fashioned now. Maybe I'm just becoming too cynical. Thanks to
attention span, Matt. That's your problem.
Yeah.
that is the problem. Matt, did you like the tweet reply from Elon that just said, "Oh, stop teasing, Jeff," with a little wink face when he announced the vision for space and a moon lander? Brilliant.
All I can say is I actually genuinely cannot believe how childish the rivalry between Musk and Bezos is, because there was several very thinly veiled digs at Elon Musk as well during Jeff Bezos's speech. I noticed. Like he said something about there is no reusable rocket that can just be reused. And it's like, well, there kind of is, but you're just not saying it. So it's really weird. But we should mention the lunar lander Blue Moon. So that has, even though that, I didn't realise just how much has been talked about this. Even it sort of was first talked about in 2017, but obviously we actually got to see it at that event. What thoughts went through your head, Harriet, when he pulled back the big black curtain for that one?
It was pretty awesome. It's pretty giant. It's huge, right? I mean, I do like Blue Origin's tactic of, you know, we're going to do all this hard work, and then, you know, we're going to show you things when they're ready. There's less kind of showy hype around things. They kind of let their tech do the talking. So it'd be interesting to see how long it takes to actually get Blue Moon on the moon.
That's the thing that worries me with Blue Origin, is that they actually haven't got any proper orbital rockets flying or actual hardware actually doing anything yet, other than New Shepard, fair enough. But and I suppose their rocket engines are doing really well. They're actually managing to sell that. But even though they're not being used yet. That's the thing that worries me. Whereas SpaceX say they're going to do stuff, and they've actually been doing it. Like if you think about something like Falcon Heavy, it's actually happened, and we actually got to see those boosters doing their little balletic landing. And of course, actually, Harriet, you've got your previous thing where you talked about light sail for the Planetary Society. That's going up, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes, it's got the launch scheduled. I'm so excited. You know, this has been something that we've been waiting for ages to get up. So just a recap for folks who haven't listened to the previous podcast, which I think was a good while ago now. But the Planetary Society, which is a global nonprofit that supports, citizens advancing space exploration, has developed a completely citizen crowd-funded light sail project, which is actually going to be launched, I think, on the next Falcon Heavy, so coming up real soon. And the idea for this is to deploy a giant solar sail in space, with the idea of being able to orbit around the Earth and demonstrate that solar sailing is a technology that is potentially viable for future missions, which is hugely exciting. So I'm really, really excited to see this come to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be really, really brilliant, isn't it? A citizen science thing on that scale. It's going to be fab. Yeah, so well done on that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, congrats.
Are you going to try and make it to the launch?
I think that might be challenging. But
yeah, I know.
Well, Florida isn't exactly the place you can hop over to for an afternoon, is it?
No, I know.
That's why we need UK launches. Just you're going to pop up to Scotland and see a launch.
Yeah.
Just going to go visit Matt in Cornwall and go see a Virgin Galactic takeoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's why you moved there.
It's good. Yeah, I might see them flying over. It's going to be great. So yeah, thanks very much for joining us, Harriet. We really have to wrap it up because I'm looking at the clock on my recorder here, and it's just about to go over the hour mark. How did that happen?
Yeah, we even joked that we're not gonna take an hour, and we all laughed. And now we're at the hour mark.
Yeah.
But that's a sign of how much we love you, Harriet. Thanks for coming back.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks very much, Harriet. And are you going to buy some Oreos? That Oreo are bringing out Apollo moon landing special edition cookies. I'm just going to definitely stock up on them.
Well, surely you're going to get some free ones now you've endorsed them, Matt.
Exactly. So Oreo, yeah, send Interplanetary Podcast some free.
If you're listening, Oreo,
Chocky biscuits.
Me, Matt, and Harriet will take 2 cases. Thank you.
So Harriet, next time you join us, we'll do it in. We're coming up to Oxford. We're coming up to Oxford soon, I promise, and we can do a proper podcast then.
A date on it.
Yes, we will have to put a date on it, so it'll be soon.
Yeah, you're like the next rocket launch. It's gonna happen.
Oh no! Don't say that.
Yeah, I'll bet a pint that Matt doesn't go to Oxford before 2024.
Right, you're on. Well, that's an easy pint that we're having in Oxford this year. In the next couple of months. Right. Harriet, thanks very much.
No, it's a pleasure.
Better wrap this up.
Thank you, Harriet.
Okay, yeah, talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.